we've had somebody comment on one of our YouTube videos about wanting to see some of the cards in greater detail. So now that we've played the tutorial and a couple of riddles ourselves, not on the camera, I think it's pretty safe to say that we can show them without spoiling anything, because it's not going to impact your gameplay at all. So in the first part of the game, you've got 12 base gods that come with the Riddle of the Sphinx. And the way that these cards work is that you have an icon at the top, and you get that icon or that particular building piece with this god when it comes out of the deck.
When you take a god deck action.
Yeah, which we'll talk about in a moment. So we're going to do some card talking, some card reveals, and then we're actually going to play the tutorial. And the tutorial is really self-explanatory, but we thought that you still might want to see it. So it has a, what do you call this? Like an action? The power.
Yeah, you have a power and then they have a quest.
Yeah, so the power for this particular card is when moving, you move up a level and you may transform a block or a dome. And you can only use them from stockpiles or a god card in a different piece from the box, into a different piece from the box. And then if you're using this power and you clear this piece while you're using its power, then you complete a quest. And then this symbol over here means that it's a piece of your choice. Like it's a wild piece. You could take any piece you want from the supply box over here. So we have Morpheus.
Asclepios.
And again, this piece means that you get to choose any piece to go on top of this god. After you build, you may build an additional time in the same space. So this god is going to give you the middle piece of your building.
Level 2.
Yep. You may choose another worker who neighbours the space you moved out of, and then they are forced into it. Perseus. So this piece is the bottom or the first piece of your tower.
Level 1.
Level 1.
Simplify it.
You may move into spaces containing other figures, and when moving into an occupied space, you move again. So this one is slightly different. So instead of a normal move, you may select a direction and then you must try to move 3 times in that same direction. And the quest for this one is if you move 2 or 3 times a turn, you clear this and then you get the wild piece.
Not even we've seen them all because they haven't come out during our games yet.
Yeah, so you get, like, depending on the mission, you get about 5 of these gods.
So far.
Except for the tutorial. The tutorial only gives you 3 and it tells you which 3 to start with. And then after the tutorial, it tells you how many base gods you need. And then you sort of just shuffle them in. So you'll get any of them. So this is one of the gods that we need for the tutorial. So I'm just going to put it there.
Oh, we're back at the start.
And we're back at the start. And I think we need Morpheus for the tutorial as well. And I think there was someone else. This one. Okay, so that's the base gods. Pretty straightforward. Very similar to like regular Santorini. And then you have friendly gods. And you can unlock these during your adventure. So I'm going to flip over. So you've got your constellation tree. And your friendly gods are actually all of these gods in the constellation tree. And as you're playing the game, depending on how well you score during the mission, depends on how many, what would you call these? constellation track points
Yeah.
that you get. So, for example, for the tutorial, we were successful and we completed both of the main missions.
Silver and gold.
So then we got 2 to spend. So then you colour these sections in, and that helps you get your particular friendly god once you've reached that spot. And then once you've reached that spot, you colour it in. So there are lots
28.
of friendly gods, and it tells you their ability
In the book.
in the book as well. So, for example, I've got Apollo here and Apollo over here. Move onto a worker to swap places. And it tells you a little bit more detail here. So when moving, you may move to a space occupied by another worker, forcing them to the space that you just moved out of. And same thing with the friendly gods as with the base gods. You put this piece on top of the god when you
select them.
Yeah. So if I'm going too fast for you, just pause the video and you can read them yourself. So they're the cards. They're the friendly gods. And then we have
Blessings.
And the blessings are ones that we have only just started learning about.
Yeah, you get them in the second riddle.
So your blessing cards, you have 2 options. You can, for example, discard this to gain this power. Before your turn, you may discard 1 block or dome from the stockpile or a god card to restore 1 of the discarded gems. So the gems are these parts here, which we'll talk about probably not in the tutorial. We plan to do another video of a gameplay of Riddle 1 and Riddle 2, and that's when this part comes in. But it's not really introduced in the tutorial. Or
Second.
you can discard after any dice roll to re-roll the result of 1 time. The result 1 time. So that, again, to do with the Sphinx game. Not all of them are to do with the Sphinx game, though. For example, this turn, gain a god card from the discard pile, even if you have 2, and gain its power, but no blocks, domes, or quests. Discard it at the end of your turn. And it seems like all of the bottom ones are mostly to do with discarding after any dice roll to re-roll. So the Sphinx game helps you to get other pieces that you need to successfully finish the mission. So there's a little number at the top, and so far when we've been playing, it has told us what blessing cards we need. So I think the first one was like cards 1 to 8.
Yes, 1 to 8.
And now we're back at the start. So that's that. So now we thought we might actually just play the tutorial and teach you all about the game. So the tutorial is sunshine and seahorses. We're using the deluxe pieces that are made of acrylic. And the setup is pretty straightforward. So it does tell you here how to set it up, but basically you match the pictures. So this one, it tells you that you need these two pieces and then you need a token. Put your coloured pieces where they are. And if you played regular Santorini, the move then build action is still the same. The only thing that makes this really different is that you can't just build whatever you want. You have to use what's from the stockpile. So in this case, it tells us that our stockpile is
a level 1 and a level 2 piece.
And it actually steps you through, over here, it actually steps you through exactly what to do. So it's going to start off with, like it talks about, you've got 3 actions. You can move, then build. You can select a god, which is up here, or you can play a Sphinx game. But for the purpose of the tutorial, they've left this bit out. So the first thing that you do is, or you can do, is selecting a god. So here it actually tells me what the first player is going to do. So the white player wants to gain more blocks to build with. So the white player selects the god, taking the Demeter from the queue. So that's my action. So take that. The white player places the Demeter level 1 block on her card. And then the white player tries to refill the queue, but the deck is empty. Then player 2 takes their turn. The blue player moves and builds. You're going to move the worker from H to G. The worker on G builds a level 1 from the stockpile in F, placing the coin in that space on top of the block. In Riddle of the Sphinx, the build must use a block or dome from the shared stockpile or from any other player's god card. So you can't just take from the supply like you can in regular Santorini. So then the blue player examines the coin in the space F, and it has been achieved because it's been built. So then it goes on top into the, into the silver coin slot.
Yeah.
So then the white player is going to move then build. So I'm going to move the worker from I to F, and I can do that. And the worker on F builds a level 2 from the stockpile. And now because we have achieved this, we've got a base and a level 2. That is done, and that gets placed on there. The worker on F also builds Demeter level 1 in E. And I can do that because you may build an additional time in a different space neighbouring the builder. So I do that into E, which finishes this one here. And I've collected the coin. And as I have cleared it while using its power, I can choose to take a piece from the stockpile. So in this case, I'm going to take a dome from the stockpile.
You're taking a level 3.
No, it says as the silver reward.
Yeah, the silver reward is completed. We add a dome to the stockpile. And then because he completed his quest, we take a level 3.
That's right. And then it just gets discarded because it's been finished with. Demeter was cleared on a turn of her power. Yep, so I've got the reward. Amazing. Then the blue player is going to move then build, and they're going to move the worker from C to E. The worker on E builds a level 3 from the stockpile and then places the gold coin on top. And that's because it's not been complete yet. because it's missing the dome. And then the white player moves and builds. So I'm going to move from A to C, and then I'm going to build the dome, which completes that.
And as soon as you finish the gold track, it ends the riddle.
And now you go back to the rule book and adventure book. So we have then turned to page 6. And this is where you have to do this at the end of every riddle. So basically you then shade off the objectives. So we completed the silver and we completed the gold, so we fill that in. I might actually just do this on a new page. Do we have a pen? Yep. So we finished the sunshine and seahorse tutorial, and we got silver and we got gold. So this gives us 2 points to spend. So that's when you come back over here, and this is where your friendly gods come into play. So you start from the 8 and you've got 2 to spend. So we could have Hades, which is going to clear this and put a discard god in the queue.
Hades.
I don't know Greek. We can teleport any worker to the space you leave. We can build next to any tower to build a second time, or we can move 0 to 3 spaces along only one level. Do you want to teleport?
I think they suggested that you
Oh, yes. Actually, they did suggest.
to your first one.
So, where did we read that?
Hestia and Hermes.
Yeah. So the red is suggestion. So you can totally disregard the suggestions and make your own choice, or you can shade in the suggested. Do you want to do the suggested, or do you want to do our own? When we were playing our own version, we did do the suggestions, but now that this is our second time doing the tutorial, do you want to do something different?
Oh, yeah, we can.
So maybe let's go. So we did these 2 last time. Shall we do the other 2? Or do you want to do one?
No, I think the suggestions will actually be the most handy.
So we should do the suggestion?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you just
time.
come along here and you just sort of colour them in. And that's it. And then you're done.
And then you go set up your next riddle if you so choose.
So that's when you come back and you put all the pieces away. And then you just simply turn the page to get to the next riddle. Now this is the one that tells you how to play with the Sphinx. So do we want to just keep filming and include it in our tutorial, or do we want to like stop and make it like the riddle 1 and 2?
Yeah, I think we do that.
Stop and make it riddle 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to stop the video.
It's going to be set up in tutorial and then we go from there.
If you would like to watch us play riddle 1 and 2 and don't mind things being spoiled, then you can come and watch it. But if you don't want things spoiled, then
Stop now.
yeah, stop now. Don't go any further.
That made more sense.
And that's the game.